Hi guys, you're listening to Ebird Online, and I'm here with another review from 90 Day Fiance. So this is Season 7, Episode 7, The Truth Shall Set You Free. And today we're going to be discussing Angela and Micheal and Juliana. I'm going to remind you, as always, to click subscribe if you like my videos. And also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Ebird99. And first up, we're going to be discussing Angela and Micheal. We first see Angela at home, and the house does look very cramped, and I don't think when Micheal gets there, it's going to help matters at all. And Angela's putting a lock on the door, and she's saying when Micheal gets his visa approved, I need a lock. And I say to Angela, on behalf of America, thank you so much. That's an act of extreme benevolence. Nobody wants to have to deal with the mental fallout for any one of your family or children or grandchildren if they have to walk in on you and Micheal in the act. And Angela tells the grandkids, Papa's going to be sleeping in the bed, so you guys can't sleep in the bed anymore. And remember, when I'm gone, he's in charge. Even Skylar has to listen to him, as he's going to be her stepdad. Skylar says, absolutely no way am I listening to Micheal. And Angela says, Skylar thinks I'm too old to have a baby. Angela, so does Mother Nature and God. And Angela continues, Micheal will be the man of the house. Skylar says, I think he's just a scammer. Angela's mum also says, no way. And Angela says, nope, it's my house, my rules. And when we next see Angela, her and Skylar are off wedding dress hunting. Angela explains that this is Michael's first wedding, but it's her second, but she feels like it's her first. And I think it's interesting that we've never seen Angela's first husband. And I don't think that there's much left to see of Angela's first husband, because I think more than likely, during their marriage, Angela ground him down to a pile of dust. Angela says she doesn't know if Michael's going to get his K1. We all do. He's not. But she can't wait for this wedding. When she walks into the wedding shop, she tells the assistant, I'm marrying a Nigerian, and he's going to be here on a K1 visa. Usually in wedding dress shops, the shop assistant looks very happy for you because you're getting married, and she asks lots of questions. This shop assistant is completely different, and the way she looks at Angela is as if Angela's just said, I'm getting married to a farmyard animal. Where's your sense of customer service, shop assistant? Again, you need to be fired. And she tries on different dresses. She settles on a big white wedding dress with an off-the-shoulder style. And she says this is going to be a wedding American style. And as I said before in an earlier video, Angela looked far better in a Nigerian style dress. She'd never looked so good. But Skylar says she was blown away by how beautiful her mama looked. And she says no matter how I feel about this wedding, mama's going to have the time of her life. And then another shop assistant asks, if Micheal can't get the K1 visa, would you marry him in Nigeria? And Angela won't answer that question. And the first shop assistant is standing in the background, shaking her head. And Angela says, I'm a taxpayer and I have the right to have Micheal over here. Really, Angela? Unfortunately for you, Angela, it's not your decision. And that's where we leave this story for today. There's not too much to say on this couple because I think you know, and I know, we all know, Michael's not coming to America anytime soon. And for the second part of this video, we're going to be talking about Micheal and Juliana. We reconvene with Mike and Juliana right where we left off last week. Oh my god, they're still talking about this pre-nup. And Michael's explaining to us, my wife and I are extremely close, and completely out of the blue, she asked me about the prenup. And for those of you who aren't fluent in complete bullshit, translation. I know very well it would be a bone of contention, so in a desperate effort to pass the blame, I asked Sarah to pop over with some dog food and seamlessly pop into the conversation, do we have a prenup? She agreed to do so, of course, because she's looking out for Max and Cece. She also agreed to do so because she's amusing herself, and she couldn't wait to see the look on Juliana's face. Well guys, from what I saw last week, the look on Juliana's face didn't disappoint. But Micheal, who do you think you're kidding that you didn't know she was going to say it? It literally was the most obvious setup. Even as she was leaving, Sarah said, oh, I hope I didn't stir the pot. No, you didn't stir the pot. You picked the pot off the stove and you threw the whole contents all over the kitchen floor. And also, Micheal said, I wasn't mad at Sarah. She was just protecting Max and Cece. And I also noticed that Micheal was actually holding the dog as if to protect him from Juliana. He had a very strange look on his face. I couldn't decide if he was scared of Juliana or if he was constipated. And they're laying on the bed and Juliana says, what's it called again? The prenup? Prenup. Last week you said pre-nup. Stick with the narrative, Juliana. And Juliana said, it doesn't matter how many times they explain it to me, I still don't get it. Whenever they're talking, I just hear blah blah blah. No, Juliana, whenever they're talking, you hear and you realise party's over. You thought you were going to get away with it, you thought you were going to sneak through, and now you realise the gig is up. And then Micheal tells yet another gigantic lie. He said it's mostly to protect my kids, Max and Cece. The Ebird has a law degree, and even though she got it many moons ago, even she knows it's very easy to set up a trust fund for your children, which is absolutely ring-fenced from any divorce agreement, and it's simple to do. You do not need a prenuptial in order to look after your children. I can guarantee that Michael's more likely to make a bad business deal with somebody and lose all of his money, so I can absolutely guarantee you that Sarah and Micheal already have something in place which guarantees and secures those children's financial future. Guaranteed. The Ebird stakes her life on it, and Juliana said, the whole thing makes me sad. Of course it does. Your money's going down the Swanee. And she asks Micheal, you want to protect the kids, but what about me? And Micheal said it also protects you. And then he went on to lie, women get heavily protected in the law if something happens. Micheal, when you're next delivering a lie, let's just try and say it convincingly at least. Women do not get heavily protected in the law with the use of a prenup. That's why men want prenups and women try to avoid them, unless of course they've got more money, in which case it's prenup all the way. But if you get married without a prenup, you stand to make far more money in the event of a divorce than ever you would with a prenup, and that is why men want them. Unfortunately for you, Micheal, however Juliana's portrayed herself, she's no fool. She knows very well this is bad news for her. Her face in the kitchen last week absolutely convinces me she knows this is all bad news. And then Juliana says, do you have a prenuit with Sarah? Okay, so now we've got prenup, prenuit. She just can't seem to get this word right, can she? And Micheal said, well, when we got together, we had less than nothing, so there was no reason for a prenup. But Micheal, I thought you said that it was to protect people. No, it's to protect your money. Just admit it. Just say to Juliana, I don't want you to marry me and think you can divorce me in 3 or 4 years and roll out of the door with half of everything that I've worked for. Just say it. And then Micheal goes on to say, my last divorce was very expensive. The lawyers cost an absolute fortune and I would never want to do it again. Newsflash, Micheal, even if you have a prenup, as soon as you say, I want a divorce, or as soon as Juliana says, I want a divorce, lawyers will be involved irrespective. They will both be poring over all of the wording of the prenup and looking for holes that they can exploit in a desperate bid to get more money, save more money, depending on who they're representing. So if you imagine that you're going to get away without lawyers' fees, imagine again, you never ever will. And Juliana asks, why was it Sarah that brought it up? Why didn't you bring it up? Why did I have to hear it from her? And she knows very well the answer, and we all do, because Micheal didn't really want to bring this up, but he knows they're probably about 3 or 4 weeks away from getting married, and so this has to be broached. But Micheal wanted to leave it until the latest possible time so that Juliana was all in, and it was pretty much too late for her to jump out now. And he knew the later that he left it, the better terms he would get within any prenup. He also wants to pretend, oh, I'd never considered it, but now I have. Yeah, it's quite a good idea. If he'd never considered it, he wouldn't just be doing it on the say-so of Sarah. And then Micheal drops Sarah in it because he says, yes, I was really annoyed with Sarah. Well, your face didn't show it and you didn't say anything about it. When you're annoyed, Micheal, we should be able to tell. And then he said, that was really uncouth of Sarah. Micheal, uncouth? His use of language sometimes surprises me. So you think that she's uncivilized? You think that she's uncultured? You think that she's boorish? That's what uncouth means, Micheal. And it was lots of things, but the use of the word uncouth is quite surprising to me. Almost as surprising as when he says automobile. And sometimes Micheal moves like he's from the 1950s. And Juliana tells producers, I gave up everything. My dogs, my family. You gave up everything. Juliana, last week you were just telling us I had nothing. In fact, less than nothing. But anyway, I guess she did give up her family, and also in the truest sense of the word, because she's not even allowing them to see the flowers at her wedding in case they should become jealous. And she said, I'm now very uncomfortable because I gave up everything and now my position's very unclear. And really what I take from this is Julia's showing her arse. We all knew that she was in it for money, but I would have thought she would have had a really good plan set in place just in case this prenup thing ever did come up. It seems as if she thought she'd just got away with it. So the next time we see this couple, they're on the way to the mediator. And Juliana says in the car, I still don't get it. No matter how many times they explain to me what this prenup is, I don't understand. And Micheal said, well, that's why we're going to the mediator. mediator. She'll better explain what the process is. And then he tells us, I don't think they have prenups in Brazil, especially where Juliana's from. Micheal, I guarantee you, she does understand, and I also guarantee, of course they have prenups in Brazil. In many areas of Brazil, they're extremely rich. I've been to Brazil many times myself, and although I've been mainly to Rio, Sao Paulo is even more rich, and it's the business district, and I'm very sure that with her looks, Juliana has had some contact with rich Brazilians and other model friends of hers who have talked to her about prenups. She knows exactly what they are. And Micheal says that the mediator is going to help educate Juliana on what this means for her. We'll see. Juliana, as ever, is dressed for a business win in a denim boiler suit. Oh, come on, Juliana, at least look as if you mean business. So when they get into the mediator's office, I can tell I'm not going to like this mediator. The mediator looks and is about as approachable like Ann Coulter's mum. And she tells us mediation is a process to find out what's most important to each party. We already know, the cash, the same as it always is. And she also claims that it balances out any imbalance of power in the decision-making process. No, it doesn't. The power usually resides with the person who has most money. And the only way I think you can balance out power in a decision-making process is to both have your own lawyer, and that lawyer is 100% working for you and is on your side and is being paid by you. Who's paying this mediator? I think we both know. So what should a mediator do in this situation? Mediation is a process where both parties meet with a neutral mediator. I don't find this mediator at all neutral, and they formulate the financial terms. So what the mediator is supposed to be doing is obtaining facts, especially financial ones, and facilitating a discussion between the parties to find out terms they can both agree on. And so mediators are supposed to be levelling the playing field, and so eliciting the concerns of the less moneyed spouse in a safe environment where those concerns can be addressed. And they talk about contribution to the marriage and even what happens if they have children. This mediator tells us mediation balances out any imbalance of power. Does it? Now let's look into what exactly you said. So she starts out saying, let's start with Micheal. A level playing field would be, who wants to start? And so she starts out by saying, I assume you have a good stream of income. And Micheal says, yes, I have several businesses and I also own property. And she's nodding the whole time, and she says, are you going to keep all the assets in your name? And he says yes. And she acted as if that question was a fair and just question, and in fact taken as read, not even something to be discussed. And a mediator should have been saying to both of them, what do you expect to do with assets that are already in play? But this mediator behaved as if, yep, whatever you want, Micheal, that's all absolutely fine. And Juliana should be happy to go along with it. And then she started talking to Juliana. What do you do, dear? A model. What kind of model? A fashion model. Have you told Micheal what your income has been over the last 2 years? Really? You've never told him? She knows very well that Juliana doesn't have any income. Micheal would have told her when he booked her. Am I right in guessing that you don't have a lot of money? If she did, would Micheal have a chance with somebody as fit as Juliana? No, he wouldn't. And then she asks what I think was quite a loaded question. If your career takes off and you earn loads and loads of money, do you want to share it all with Micheal? And it's a very unfair question, because she's insinuating that if one person has money, they shouldn't want to share it with another. And she knows already that Micheal has money, and so it's steering Juliana in a certain direction. And when the mediator speaks to camera, she says Michael's very sure that he wants to keep things separate, and he would like to keep all his property and possessions in his own name. And I understand that. You're supposed to be neutral. Do you understand even what the word neutral means? And then she says Juliana has a lot to learn. Mediation is supposed to be fair. You can't just write Juliana off. And I'm going to speak a little bit more about this later, because the Ebird has very strong views on the nature of this relationship. And she asked Juliana, what do you want? It's a very unfair question, because she knows very well in a mediation session you should at least know what's in play, what is on the table, what does Micheal have, and also what does she want at certain points. If they divorce in a year, obviously she's not going to expect as much as if they divorce in 20 years and have 3 children. So at this point, it's quite a ridiculous question from the mediator. And then she said extremely condescendingly, do you know how much money you need in America to live for a month? Juliana said no. Mediator, do you know how much money you need to live in the slums of Brazil for a month? No, you don't. What difference does that make? And then the mediator says, you need money for gas, for rent, for food, for clothes. Mediator, you still haven't told me how much money I would actually need. You've just listed the things that I would need money for, which are incidentally the things that I would need money for worldwide. You're less than helpful. And Juliana says to Micheal at the end of the session, I want to be independent. And Micheal says, why? And she said, well, what happens if you kick me out again? And Micheal said, I won't. And then Juliana tells us that it's already happened once. And she said she didn't even know why he split up with her. But all of a sudden, Micheal called her in Brazil and said, I no longer want to go out with you. But he'd said previously, whatever you need, you can rely on me. But she said suddenly he disappeared and she needed help with her rent and she was unable to get hold of him. So Michael's already demonstrated that once he's finished with you and if he thinks it's over, he no longer has a vested interest in helping you. And she tells us, I can't trust him. And Juliana, I think you're right. She said, I'm angry with myself that I'm in this situation. And she tells Micheal, if you were in my shoes, you'd be exactly the same. And he says, well, I'm sorry that you're upset. So guys, what do you think about this? I think to some extent, Julia's being played by Micheal and Micheal knows it. Now stick with me on this because I know you guys are going to say, but she's just a gold digger. And if Michael's got money, why should he share it with her? And in an even playing field, yes, of course, why should he? But this is how I see their relationship. I see that Micheal treats Julia as a possession. I don't see they've got that much in common. I don't necessarily think she's his intellectual equal. Obviously there's a massive age gap. So Michael's using Juliana as some sort of sports car or great possession. He's walking round with a beautiful, gorgeous fashion model on his arm. It makes Micheal look cool. And we all know that Micheal would love to be considered to be cool. You never will, Micheal. There's an unspoken contract between this couple, and that is my money for your looks. I get to utilise you and your looks and everything that confers onto me, and you get to have money to help yourself and to help your family. So what have we discovered thus far? Micheal has her looks, she's living with him. Everyone thinks, wow, Michael's a G. Even Max, his son, was like, wow, she's a model, she's beautiful. And you could tell he was basking in the glory of his dad going out with somebody so good looking. But Michael's not really helping her family thus far. We know about the car, but we found out about the car pretty much when Micheal did. So it wasn't that he wanted to do that, it just happened. All that Michael's actually said he's helped with thus far is groceries week to week when Juliana was there. As soon as Juliana's gone, they don't still have the credit card. He's also, in some senses, cutting Juliana off a little bit from her family because he doesn't want them to come to the wedding. And he says if they see everything, they'll just want loads of money. Considering how much money Michael's got, if I were Juliana, I'd be saying, I want to send $50 or $80 a month over to my family to make sure that the rent is always covered. That at the moment doesn't look like happening. Also, Juliana's very young. These are her best years. She's using them with Micheal. If when she's 35 or 40 and she might have put on a bit of weight and things might have gone south, and Micheal decides to trade her in for a newer model, if he manages to cut her off at this point from his money via the prenup, Juliana may be left on the model scrap heap. So I'm not arguing that women should just go after men for money, but if they've one of these unspoken contracts, your looks for my money, then I absolutely expect that Micheal, you should come through on your part of the bargain. You've left it this late to talk about prenup because you're hoping to wriggle out of your responsibilities because it's too late for Juliana to backtrack now. From what I've just seen of that mediator, she was worse than useless. She may believe that Micheal was absolutely fine to not worry about Juliana, and she also tried to semi-gaslight her by saying, what happens if you make loads of money? Do you want to share it with Micheal? Juliana's left behind her family, her friends in Brazil, and whilst yes, she was poor, we all know regardless, would we leave our families and friends behind even if we met a multi-millionaire or a billionaire? Probably not. This is a move designed from necessity. And Michael's benefiting from that, but he wants to give back as little as he possibly can. And this is evidenced by the fact he said, well, I've helped her family. When her sister lost her hearing, I bought hearing aids. Micheal, that's about $100. You're prepared to spend $100,000 on a wedding. It's no great shakes for you. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think this is a fair situation? Do you think Michael's trying to get one up on Juliana? Or do you think Juliana's getting what she deserves because she's a gold digger anyway? And how much more unfair is it for someone to go out with someone just because of their look and their physique and their height rather than just because of their money and what they can do? It's the same to me. You're not looking at the content of someone's character, you're looking at what they can do to you or what benefit you confer from being with them. So so neither one of them to me is any better than the other. So you know I love listening to all of your opinions. Please weigh in on this for me and let me know what you think down below. Also, don't forget to make Ebird a very happy Ebird and press that red subscribe button if you want to ensure that you don't miss any content. Also, don't forget to press the like button. As I said before, it helps to promote my videos, and I also get to know what sort of content you guys like as well. Follow me on Twitter at mbird99, and I'll see you very soon. I would ask you to weigh in on if you think that Michael's going to get his visa, but I think it's pretty clear we'll never see Michael on US soil. And that's a shame, because I feel like he's put in an awful lot of work to try and get here, and he's had to put up with bullying Angela for many years. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.